Hello everyone. How are you? I hope you all done great. Today's lesson is Science subject for Grade 3. Lesson 16. This tutorial prepared by Dawar hawrami for Dr. Mustafa Zalmi Private Basic School. Chapter 2. Heat. Vocabulary. Heat. Temperature. Thermometer. Conduction. Conductor. Insulator. Chapter 2. Heat. Vocabulary. Heat. Temperature. Thermometer. Conduction. Conductor. Insulator. Heat. What do you do on a cold and sunny day to feel warm? You might sit in the sun, wear woolen clothes, or sit next to a heater. In all these cases, you gain heat or keep it. Vocabulary. Heat. Temperature. Thermometer. Vocabulary. Heat. Temperature. Thermometer. Heat. Heat and how it is produced. Heat is something that makes things hotter. On sunny days, you feel the heat that comes from the sun. Heat from the sun warms soil, water, air, and living things. You saw in the previous activity that rubbing two bodies together produces heat, so that objects become hotter. People can also produce heat by burning fuel. Oil, natural gas, and wood are some materials used as fuel, produce heat as they burn. What is heat? Heat is something that makes things hotter. What is heat? Heat is something that makes things hotter. People burn oil and gas to heat their homes, schools, and other buildings. Gas is used also for cooking. Wood burns very easily. That is why fires can start in forests if people are not careful. Some people also burn wood in fireplaces to heat their homes and cook their food. Heat produced from electricity is also used to heat homes, cook food, and heat water. How do people produce heat? People burn wood, oil and gas to produce heat. How do people produce heat? People burn wood, oil and gas to produce heat. Temperature. Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. A thermometer is a tool to measure the body temperature. Thermometers have numbers printed on them much like rulers do. Temperature is measured in Celsius, Celsius degree. You can measure the temperature of air, food, or your body. Hot objects are at high temperatures, while cold objects are at low temperatures. The temperature of a natural gas flame is 660 Celsius degree. And of boiling water is 100 Celsius degree. The temperature of freezing water is 0 Celsius degree. How do people use thermometers? People use thermometers to measure body temperature. How do people use thermometers? People use thermometers to measure body temperature. Most thermometers contain liquid in a tube. You can see numbers on this thermometer. These numbers are according to the Celsius scale. Summary. Heat is something that makes things warm. People produce heat by burning kinds of fuel. Heat is used to cook food and heat houses and water. Temperature is a measure of how hot or cold something is. A thermometer is used to measure temperature. Review. 1. What does heat do to matter? Heat makes things warm. 2. Name 2 ways heat can be used. Cook food and heat water. 3. Name 2 ways heat can be produced. Burn wood in fireplaces and burn oil. 4. Why is it important to know what the temperature outside is? To measure how hot or cold outside is. 5. What do you use to measure the temperature? A. Rubbing. B. Thermometer. C. Balance. D. Wires. The correct answer is B. Thermometer. Vocabulary. Conduction. Conductor. Insulator. Vocabulary. Conduction. Conductor. Insulator. How heat moves. Conduction. In the investigation you put a metal spoon into hot water. It got hot. Heat moves from the hotter objects to the cooler objects. To fry an egg, you put it in a pan. Then you put the pan on the stove. Heat from the stove makes the pan hot. Heat is transferred at once from the pan into the egg. The transfer of heat between objects that touch each other is called conduction. How does heat move between objects that touch each other? Heat moves from the hotter object to the cooler object. How does heat move between objects that touch each other? Heat moves from the hotter object to the cooler object. Conductors. When your mother heats cold soup, heat is transferred from the stove into the pot, and then from the pot into the soup. When more and more heat is transferred, the soup gets hotter. A conductor is a material through which heat moves quickly and easily. That is why most pots and pans are made from metals such as copper, aluminum, or iron. A metallic spoon placed in soup becomes hot very quickly. However, heat does not move easily through plastics and wood. Give 2 examples of good conductors of heat. Copper and iron are conductor of heat. Give 2 examples of good conductors of heat. Copper and iron are conductor of heat. Insulators. Heat from stoves or ovens can make pots, pans, and trays very hot. People can burn their hands if they touch the metal. To protect their hands, people wear oven gloves. Oven gloves are made from a thick material. Heat cannot move through it easily. Oven gloves are insulators. An insulator is a bad conductor of heat. Fabrics, plastic, and wood are insulators. Air is also an insulator. The material of some clothes that we wear during winter contains air bubbles. Air prevents the transfer of heat from your body to the outside, so you feel warm. Give 2 examples of bad conductors of heat. Plastic and wood are bad conductor of heat. Give 2 examples of bad conductors of heat. Plastic and wood are bad conductor of heat. Summary. When things touch each other, heat moves between them by conduction. Conductors let heat move easily. Insulators are materials in which heat cannot move easily. Metals are good conductors of heat. Wood, plastic, fabrics, and air are heat insulators. Review. 1. How does heat move between objects that touch each other? When things touch each other, heat moves between them by conduction. 2. Is an oven glove a conductor or an insulator? Explain. It is insulator. Because heat cannot move through it easily. 3. Are cooking pots made of metal conductors or insulators? Explain. Cooking pots made of conductors. Because heat through conductors moves quickly and easily. 4. Some animals feel warm because they are covered with wool. Why do you feel warm when you put on a sweater or coat made of wool? Because it prevents the transfer of heat from your body to the outside, so you feel warm. 5. Which of the following is a good conductor of heat? A. Air. B. Fabrics. C. Copper. D. Wood. The correct answer is C. Copper. Chapter 2. Review and test preparation. Vocabulary review. Choose a term below to match each definition. The page numbers and tell you where to look in the chapter if you need help. Heat. Temperature. Thermometer. Conduction. Conductor. Insulator. 1. Conduction, the movement of heat in two solids that are touching. 2. Insulator. Matter in which heat cannot move easily. 3. Heat. Something that makes things hot. 4. Conductor. Matter in which heat moves easily. 5. Thermometer, a tool that measures temperature. 6. Temperature, a measure of how cold or hot something is. Connect concepts. Use the terms to complete the concept map. Hot. Conductor. Conduction. Heat. Insulator. Cold. Heat. Makes things hot. 1. Heat. Heat always moves from too hot to cold. Iron is a good for conductor of heat. Heat can move between two touching objects by 5. Conduction. Plastic is in 6. Insulator of heat. Check understanding. Circle the letter of the best choice. 1. Which of the following is an insulator? A. Silver spoon. B. Aluminum foil. C. Stainless steel spoon. D. Wooden spoon. The correct answer is D. Wooden spoon. 2. Which of the following is a conductor? A. Wooden spoon. B. Oven gloves. C. Aluminum foil. D. Woolen sweater. The correct answer is C. Aluminum foil. 3. Ahmad puts his hands on an ice cube. A. Heat moves from the ice to Ahmad's hands. B. Heat moves from Ahmad's hands to the ice. C. Heat does not move between Ahmad's hands and the ice. D. Heat moves from the ice to Ahmad's hands and back. The correct answer is B. Heat moves from Ahmad's hands to the ice. 4. The handle of a pan is often made of wood since wood is A. A good conductor of heat. B. Tough, strong, and does not break. C. Not attracted by magnets. D. A bad conductor of heat. The correct answer is D. A bad conductor of heat.